Audio on. Boom. Audio on. Twitch. What is up? What is up? Welcome to a Friday Civitai guest creator session. My name is Tyler. I got a dope one for you guys today. I know I say that every single week and every single Friday, but it is only because it is true. And I put a lot of energy and effort into sourcing the best people to come and share a little piece of what they do with you guys. So you guys can hopefully take something away and get better at doing what it is you are doing with all this. So today, man, we got my good friend Visual Frission, who is here with us. And I've been going back and forth with Frisson for what? Maybe we've been in like direct contact for like 6 months or so now.
Yeah, it's been a while now.
And Frisson has actually helped me with a couple like key points on some really big projects that I was working on personally on like my JBoog's creative side of things. And he's just like a wealth of knowledge. He does a bunch of stuff commercially. I'll let him tell you about himself, but just a little background for this. There was one really big key piece to the Coachella project that I worked on that when they sent me the file type, I had never worked with that particular file type before. The file type was called an EXR file. And I had less than 48 hours to deliver the animation and I was freaking out. And he happened to hop on Discord and he was like, "Oh, I know what an EXR is." And he walked me through it, man. And it was like, boom. And now I know how to work with it. So damn. Yeah. Frisson, welcome. Thank you for carving out some time. I know you're not like always on social media and you're usually just like doing your thing and working on your craft and working on projects. But why don't you go ahead and tell these people who you are so they and give them an idea of what we're going to do today.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for the intro. I really appreciate it. It's been great knowing you, getting to work with you in the past. And yeah, that was fun figuring out that EXR thing with you because I had to figure it out, when I started. But my name's David. I go by Visual Frission on social media. Like Tyler said, I don't do too much social media. So like a lot of commercial work and social media is just where I can, put some fun projects, things I'm learning. I went to school for something completely different, graduated, hated my job, ended up picking up editing as a hobby, and then turned editing into a career that then I got into motion graphics, then I got into 3D animation. And then now once AI kind of started, like I've been blown away and kind of like obsessed with learning as much as I can about AI and figuring out a way to like bring it back into my normal workflow with a normal pipeline. So I guess, and let me share my screen.
So before we get started, real quick, how long have you now been using AI integrated into everything you're doing or like as a focal point of a lot of what you're doing?
Yeah, let me see. I have a folder of all my past work and hopefully, or not all my past work, but just like a couple of select key points I see in like the AI track that I've been on. And yeah, the first video was back in March 2022.
Okay.
It was like with VQGAN and Clip, like on Google Colab. It was pretty rough at that time, but I say I started getting into Disco Diffusion in August of 22, and that's kind of like when I saw like a light bulb went off, and like the future was going to be crazy. Like this is just the beginning, and it's going to be the future. So I even saw it as like a giant industry that's starting where we're all like ground level, and it was like a once in a lifetime opportunity almost to get in on the ground level and try to race, to be the best at it, which has been exciting, I think.
So as someone who is doing the freelance video editing and motion design thing too, before jumping into this, that was exactly my thought. Why do you think so? Like, what do you think the difference is between guys like you who see this and you see the like new opportunity and like this entire level playing field because everyone is so new and trying to figure it out versus like the guys in the exact same industry doing the same thing as you that are so just against it and apprehensive to even try it?
Yeah, it's tough. I think AI in general, I agree. It's like a pretty controversial topic right now. And I kind of embrace that. Like, I want a future where people are happy no matter what. Like, and whether it's anti-AI or AI community that, you know, is fighting back and forth. Like, I really want this middle ground where like we can use it to make things like we've never been able to make in the past. And whether that's, you know, giving back to the artists that help, you know, create the models or some future where, you know, everyone's happy. I think that would be ideal. I get why people are like hesitant to use it, especially with like the ethics of where models are trained and stuff. Me personally, I think the longer you wait, the longer you're going to be behind once we get to that point that it is, you know, everyday tools integrated with every system that we use. And I just want to be along for the ride right now and stay at the forefront as long as I can, I guess.
There you go. I fully agree. So what are we going to be talking about today?
Here, let me, I'll share my screen. I just wanted to go through kind of my thought process on it. It'll be a little mix of maybe Q&A. If anyone has any questions, we can do that. But it won't be a complete demo. I already made a video and kind of just want to walk through the process and maybe talk about what I think about before I make a video, how I use AI, and kind of how I see AI in the future of being one tool in like your tool bag. So it's like, I think I meet people in the AI community that blow me away that are like levels beyond whatever I could do and like technically savvy, well beyond, you know, whatever I could create or produce or think about. So my skill set is to bring, you know, my past knowledge of editing and motion graphics and working in the music industry and just use AI, you know, as a tool to just amplify everything. So yeah, we're going to go through kind of where I start with a project, kind of where I edit it, the AI process, and then kind of the motion graphics on top to finish it off.
Dope. Well, this is coming at the perfect time because I know a lot of you guys are planning on trying to throw into our Project Odyssey AI film competition. I had to plug it, but all these take little tidbits, guys, and start and learn how to piece things together. So let's go ahead and get your screen shared. Let me get that up on my screen and make sure everyone can see that. And boom. Awesome. We are good. Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess in general, it's like I'm biased to video editing. It's like, I think if anyone has a chance to learn, you know, basic video editing, whether I started in iMovie and there's Windows Movie Maker that's free, I'd say that's going to be an invaluable skill going forward just with video creation in our day. It's like almost like there's so much video creation, and if you can video edit, you're going to have a leg up on kind of anyone else that's, you know, making content. But let's see. I just want to share a video. Kind of all I have is like a reel from 3 years ago, but to give you guys an idea of kind of my past and before I even got into AI, and then it hopefully will make sense kind of how I thought to incorporate AI into what I do.
Let's do it.
But let me know if the audio levels are too high or if we want this full screen. But this is.
Dude, that is so sick. Oh wait. Where'd your audio go? Wait.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Oh, there you go. There you go. Okay. Boom.
Sorry about that.
Hey, sorry. FYI, if you guys want to be able to hear the stuff that's happening on David's stream, if you're in Discord, you have to actually be watching his stream with his audio turned on, or just watch it on Twitch. Anyways, yeah, no, dude, that is such sick work. Oh my God.
So yeah. And if I could say anything, it's just been a grind. It's like everyone's career is different. Like I started video editing 10 years ago, and I think there's a lot of people that can get virality and like get their name out there and get work. My path was kind of a slow grind of just making as much work as possible and just be really passionate about it. So I mean, I'm biased, but my advice is just if you're passionate about it, just make as much work as possible and make the work that you want to do in the future, and like things will come.
Dude, that's I think for everyone that's trying to freelance, that's really key, is like, even if it feels like it's slow, you got to be making stuff that represents the actual stuff you want to be getting paid to make. Otherwise, you'll eventually find yourself getting paid to make stuff that like you don't want to make at all. And if we do the freelance thing to hopefully not have to work for a crappy job that we don't like, and if our freelance gig turns into a crappy job that we don't like because we don't enjoy the things, then what's it all for, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Sometimes when the money's right, you do jobs that aren't creatively rewarding, but I'd say just building the skill set of things that you want to make, I think is important, or it's worked out for me. So every person's path is different. You just gotta be happy and passionate about it. Let's see.
Awesome, man. Let's dive into this.
I have this other reel, but just to show. Oh, it's loud. Then I got into a lot of show visuals. And then even in 2023, I was able to start working AI into show visuals. So that one was like one for Travis Scott. And then Keizo, we got to do like a bunch of the forum stuff, which was like super fun.
Sick.
But, yeah, I won't bother you guys with the full video. But okay, we're gonna run through kind of my journey in AI, and then we'll jump straight into the project. I only want to show these videos because I think in general this whole trip has been super interesting, and kind of like it always just amazes me every day, like where the open source community has been and how open they've been in sharing all their tools. Honestly, most of these, except for one runway video, has all just been open source AI stuff that people have shared and like taught me, and people make tutorials online. But when you see like the first video compared to the last video, it's crazy the road that we've come. And I can only imagine like a year, 2 years from now, it's going to get even wild, even crazier.
Dude, six months from now, it's going to get even crazier.
Yeah. So this was literally, I remember Googling or seeing something online about AI video and was like super intrigued and looked it up, and it took forever to try to figure out. And it was like a Google collab for VQGAN and Clip. And it took forever to figure out what the heck I was supposed to do. And it took forever to render the frames out. I think I was only able to get like 5 seconds of video and then just loop that. But this was like literally the first thing I ever made, and it's pretty janky, but the like future was there of what could be possible.
Dude, but even this is sick. Like this is like
yeah.
like that.
But
yeah.
But at that point, it was just like amazing that it could make something that was like not existent, an hour before, and then now I have like this weird skull video that I can use in an edit. And then Disco Diffusion came around, and it was kind of the eye-opening of like the crazy stuff you can make with Disco Diffusion and video to video stuff. But even now, it's like still so old looking. And then the forum came around, and the forum I used a lot, and thought it was great for the speed, and then also the 3D aspect of it, that you could do video transfer, but also like just random image generation, like in 3D space.
Bro, I feel like this stuff still holds up, which is wild considering everything we have now.
Yeah, I always think about going back to the forum because, again, that 3D stuff, it's like I haven't figured out a way to really replicate it in with AnimateDiff.
Hey, real quick before you show the next one, question in Discord that said, do you feel like the post-production is pretty important for making impactful videos, or do you think that most of the work can now be done effectively just staying in AI?
I think a lot can stay in the AI. So it's like, it is possible. It's like, it's the age-old question where you'd rather use one program but like you're stuck with that program, or you use multiple programs and you're using the best part of each one. Me personally, I would love just to make the generations in AI and use AI as a tool to create just like an image pretty much that I couldn't create anywhere else. And then use software like Premiere to edit and After Effects to composite. Like there's a lot of compositing tools that you can do in Comfy. And you can, get away with it, but you just have way more control in After Effects, in my opinion. But
sorry.
Go on. Say that said, it's like you could get a video start to finish in Comfy, and that's pretty impressive in my opinion.
Can we pause for a second, and can I get you to actually mute the notifications of like people coming in and out of the voice channel?
Oh yeah.
Just that way, that little extra sound doesn't permeate through the entire video for everyone.
You're gonna have to tell me how to do it.
I believe it is
in settings somewhere.
Does anyone know exactly where that is? Is it turning streamer mode on?
In notifications?
No, I think it's if you go into your settings, there should be like a streamer mode thing.
Streamer mode. Okay. All right, now it's on.
Boom. I think that should fix it.
All right. Good idea.
Then so for most of your videos, what percentage of your particular work actually goes into the post-production versus the AI? Like, would you say you're spending more time in post on a normal basis than in the actual AI part?
Yeah, I would say. I'd say the AI portion is like R&D, experimenting with looks, getting a workflow down. And then once that's done, then it's kind of just there to run the generations and get the content to then get back into the workflow. And you'll see in the project that we work on, it's like I generate the AI, but then even that, it's like picking it apart before like we even get into like the actual edit of like how it will look. But yeah, let's see.
Sick.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll run through these real quick and we'll get to the project. But I think deform is when I first realized you could get like pretty crisp, clear lines and like just wild like things where it's like making a person into a bird and stuff. And warp diffusion came around. Here, I won't play. Here, oh god. I was like, I won't play too much of this video. But warp was crazy because you could just make wild things, and it would like stick onto the form. But I didn't ever use warp too much, just because I was slow at using it. It was taking too much time to set up the generations. Let's see. And then I saw a bunch of Gen 2 stuff come out and was super fascinated at what was possible, and got like 1 month of unlimited runway credits and ran. Like, my idea was the generations always look bad after a while, but I thought, like, what if you edit a video and just instead have like 100 half-a-second clips and then just made this. And it was like for fun. But in theory, I think like with text to video and image to video, as it's progressing and it's becoming more photoreal, we'll be able to make kind of edits and montages like this, I think, pretty easily soon. So we'll see where that goes. And then, so this is September 2022, AnimateDiff came out and like blew my mind. I think AnimateDiff was like the biggest step in AI, for me at least, to get consistent frames of like the next frame is looking like it's supposed to be the next frame. And like that changed a lot for me. And now I've only used like AnimateDiff since, and ComfyUI. But then I started mixing it with different technologies so I got into Nerf for a little while. And then mixing like Nerf technology with the AI technology is now making like this wild video that, as technically like a video editor that has some videography experience, is able to make kind of by myself, is kind of mind-blowing to me now.
Man, I love this. I love the Nerf thing.
Yeah, I got to get back into it because I think there's a ton of potential. And the nice thing is they work hand in hand, where the AI kind of smooths out the Nerf's imperfections, and then the Nerf just lets you kind of make whatever input, video with whatever camera move you want.
For people in here that aren't fully aware, can you just real quickly let them know what a Nerf is?
Yep. So, I mean, I'm not an expert, but in basic terms, what a Nerf is you can take video or photos of an area. Ideally, you want, in this instance, you want your subjects to stay as still as possible because you want it to be almost like a still image in time. And then with a bunch of pictures of the scene, almost getting every surface in the room in this sense, then you run it through. This one was done with Luma Labs, but it'll create pretty much the environment in the 3D space, and then you can create a camera move after the fact. So pretty much you can create a camera moving around just a still environment. There's a lot of clouds and pixelation still. There's some new technology called Gaussian spotting that you can get pretty crisp images through that. But again, the nice thing is the AI kind of smooths everything out. And then, like the Nerf, even with the AnimateDiff, I started getting into thinking like what's possible, because I realized we're running AnimateDiff with just Controlnets, and the Controlnet is what's driving the vid to vid now. It's not actually even using the input video. So then I thought, what if you like just fade to black the Controlnets as transitions? So it's like you're going from a Controlnet line art or something, and then it fades to black, and then you get your next shot. And that's where I think like you realize like the sky's the limit of creativity, and in Comfy you can make whatever workflow you want. But then it's made this where try to make like a fire or liquidy look that kind of flows into each shot. But it shows that like the sky's the limit of what's possible. And it's like the same thing with this video, where you can make these transitions now just based off of, you know, like editing the Controlnet in it before it runs through. All right. So then most recent video is I was lucky enough to get the opportunity to work on this music video for Ray Brown, and I was able to work with the director and kind of teach him what was possible with AnimateDiff and ComfyUI, and he had this idea for this character. So we were able to like figure out kind of this weird, creepy, muscly look for him. And through some rotoscoping, we were able to get a Luma mask. We were able to run it with the Luma mask and then composite it. I didn't composite, but the team we worked with was amazing, and they were able to composite back in, and he created this amazing story music video that ended up going on to win the Runway Film Festival. So it's kind of crazy that I got to be part of that and do the AI on it. And then that brings us to currently. This is the video that we'll walk through in a second of how to make.
Such a good way to mix all the different techniques together, man.
Yeah. And it's kind of how I see at least my future. Again, it's like I'm biased because I come from that editing background that if I'm going to keep up or compete or try to stay as far at the top of AI, like, or just work on like the most interesting projects and get the opportunity, it's like I have to lean into my experience and background in video editing and compositing and using After Effects to whatever we can. And I think we're getting to a point in AI that there's a million ways to do it, and everyone should have their own workflow style and like whatever they want to make. I think the sky's the limit.
Before we get in any deeper, the chat would like to know what type of hardware you're working with. So what's your current editing computer setup?
Yeah, so I have computer I built actually a while back now, but I am working off of a 4090, so it's been nice. I think it was maybe October or something in 2022 is when I saw the potential for AI. And I had a job coming up where I was going to pitch to use the forum for these show visuals. And, I knew I was going to get paid a certain amount for that job. So I invested in a 3090 at that time. It was right, when they went on sale. So I would say working with 24 gigabytes of RAM has been really nice. But I understand not everyone has the opportunity. So my workflow might, push the limits of the VRAM, but we'll see.
Hey man, the very first music video paycheck I got from an AI thing I did in Warp, which I worked on this video for probably a month and a half, and I had 5 instances of Google Colab running in Warp, with one locally on my 3090 and the 4 others all from me paying for the credits. And I took that entire thing I got paid for that music video for this Egyptian R&B artist, that once I got paid for that, immediately bought another rig with a 4090. Like, didn't even give that money a chance to be spent on anything else.
Yep. I mean, that's how I've kind of seen it throughout my career. I've spent a decent amount on my computer and like a camera I own. But I always viewed it as like getting the money back. Like, how fast can I make the money back to justify that investment? It also helps that I love what I do, so it's kind of like a toy at the same time. But if it's like a toy that can make the money back, then it's even better.
And if it's a toy that can be a tax write-off, that's even better too.
Exactly. Yeah, keep all your receipts. Yeah. But yeah, I've been thinking about building a new computer at some point and, moving around all the parts because, yeah, the CPU was top of the line like 4 years ago, I think I built it. So probably going to start struggling at some point.
At this point, I think the plan is to get if you are in the market for a new rig whatsoever, I would say just wait until the 5090s come out and get a new rig built around the 5090 instead of pulling the trigger right now, unless you absolutely need it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'd say for anyone that, where budget is an issue or you're not getting paid with AI, it's like definitely look into the old models. It's like I waited until the 4090 came out and then I got the 3090 because it like dropped like 50% almost like that week and was able to pick one up. So yeah, I don't know what 3090s go for now, but when the 5090 comes out, I'm sure you can still get like a 24 gigabyte graphics card for cheap, hopefully. All right, let's dive into it and we'll kind of work through. Spent like a long time going through that, but hopefully we'll get through all this. So yeah, I come from a video editing background. I love music. Music probably is what got me into video editing. It was pretty much, I remember I would like a song. I would want to time up like the drop to like some video I had. And that was like what got me to download iMovie and just do it myself. And even my name, Visual Frission, I say, which is probably wrong because it's a completely different word. It's actually Frisson or Frisson.
Oh, damn.
Journeyman always has to tell me the exact pronunciation because it's French. But it just means like the tingles you get on the back of your neck when you listen to music. Or in my case, it's like if you could time up music and visuals perfectly, like I think that feeling you get is like magic. That like it's like a body reaction to what you're seeing and hearing. So usually, like if I have a passion project, it'll start with some song that I like and maybe like a tool that I want to learn. For this one, I really wanted to test something out with a node called BiRefNet. It's just like an auto masker in Comfy. And it made me like think like what was possible, like if you could just, run an auto masker through and now you have the background and subject and now could do something fun with it. And then I went back through like a bunch of old songs. This one's actually pretty old. It's by Jewels, but it's like pretty like intense song that I thought could be fun to, be editing fast to. And like my first thing, little OCD is, but I'll go into the song and put markers. So like on the drop, and then I'll do it like every bar pretty much. I'll mark where the beat is every bar and then kind of put colored markers in. So I can, pull out and I can see the form of the song where this is the drop. This is the bridge where it's in between drops. There's another drop here and then another, bridge, third drop, and then at the end of the song. And then what that allows me to do is go in and think like, I want to make a minute-long video. So what I can do is I can cut up the song. I definitely want this like first drop. And then at some point, maybe I want to switch into like the second drop that has like a much different feel to it. And is this loud on your end?
We can hear it. We can hear it. It's not too loud. It's perfect because you're still louder than it, but we can hear the sound. Yeah.
Okay. So pretty much, if I like want to get into the drop, right away. It's like maybe I'll cut and like start it here, and this will be like enough build. And then I probably don't want to use too much of this first drop, so maybe half, just so I can get into the second one. And the nice thing, if you put these markers on the bars, and then if you do one every 4 or 8, you'll learn quickly that music is all kind of on this pattern. So if I cut at these 2 markers and then just put these together and fade them, it's like you'll be amazed, but the song just fits perfectly. Sometimes you'll just want this like before or after the hit. So if it's off by like, like a millisecond or something, it'll like double it up. But that's pretty much how you cut it down. And then, so now I want a little bit of bridge and then into the second drop. So probably only want like 4 bars. So again, if I take 2 bars here and 2 bars here, smush them together, then again, fade it. Let's see how it's done. It's like good enough. Maybe like stretch this out a little bit more. And now we have the second drop. And then now pretty much it'll build up to the end of the song. So again, with my edits, I kind of like, the whole thing ramping up, almost to like the peak tension. And then if it can cut out at the end and like, you get that like final release at the end of the video, that's like always fun. But the problem is not every song, like it'll sound kind of horrible if we just end it like that. So I have a library of like risers and hits that helps. So this is just a little riser that trails off. And I put these markers so I can see where it should line up. And let's see, this one is probably just a hit. This one is just like a bass hit. You might not even be able to hear it. It's just like very subtle. But it's just like low bass. This one's an actual hit. So if you line all these up and play it now, you have like a little
Have an
nice
actual ending.
Yeah. So little editing chops go a long way at helping like design, I guess, the video you want. So you can think ahead the hits you want in the video before like you even make any video content. The next level stuff would be to put like a low frequency pass in the beginning, so it's low, which is what I end up doing. So like you cut out all the highs, so it seems like in like another room, and then kind of like comes up, and then is like the full song when you get into the drop. But okay, so we got the song, we got the idea for the video. I just went on Artlist, which is stock video is what I use it for. I try to find a project every year where I can convince them or sell to use stock footage in some way, and then it's like a write-off. And the nice thing about this site is it's a yearly subscription. So like you get it on one project, and now I can use it and like download different stuff throughout the year. I'm trying to think. I can't remember what I searched, but it was something like model, yeah. So I just look through, I play the music in the background, and I think like what could fit. And then pretty much again on the site, since the yearly subscription is, I can go ahead and download this whole collection for that. I have the subscription. So we get all these clips ready to edit. What I do is I lay them all out. Pretty much you see like everything that you have. And what I'll do, again, it's a little OCD, is I'll cut all the clips or the video I have to the beat. And now I have like, a collection of clips that are beat length. And the main goal is to find good beginnings and endings to all the clips. So like if we have this clip, what I'll look is like this movement is probably what we want. So we'll wait until it like stops and we'll cut here and I'll just drag it. So now it's like right from beginning to end of the beat. And then we'll just keep going to the next one. So now like another shot would be like probably right there. Like that start is perfect. And also, if you use Premiere, I highly suggest setting up ripple trim, previous ripple trim next, ripple delete, and then I use close gap. I probably use it all the time. So my fingers are literally on Q, W, and E the whole time while I edit, because I can look for like a beginning of a clip like this, and right when it's like that frame I want to begin, I just hit Q, and it'll just bring it over and cut it exactly there. And then
I have my editing shortcuts set up too, to where just like while I'm editing in like both like After Effects and Premiere, it's literally like I'm playing an FPS. Like there's no reason for right hand to leave the mouse and left hand to leave the WASD-QE section.
Yep. Yeah, my thumb's on E or the space bar because I'm just smashing space bar over and over. And like same thing, like so this clip, we get to start there, just click Q, chop it. And then E is to just get rid of it. So it just gets rid of it. And what's nice is it also, if I select this area and do that ripple delete, it'll close it for me. And pretty much you just can like race through clips. Like, okay, this arm movement is cool to start on. So I hit Q. And then you get that clip. And then you just go through and like, oh, that little movement. Pretty much if you edit on movement, it's been my like experience, it's gonna be good. Like for this arm movement. Actually, if we end like on this arm movement.
And then let me just say that I know there's a bunch of people that either like, since they don't do this professionally or whatever, they don't pay for the Adobe Creative Suites and the same like subscription software that we do because they don't have a reason to. Guys, these are principles that carry through to any video editor, whether it's free or paid. So all the stuff that he's showing you right now is, while okay, UI is different, UX is different. The same thing applies to like the free version of DaVinci Resolve, which is incredible, and everyone can download it and use it, and it runs super smooth on almost every computer system. So yeah.
I was doing this probably the same, or I built this editing, like process from iMovie. So it's like, just like however you learn, there's so many, programs out there. DaVinci is amazing that you can use it for free. I think Adobe just got me early, and now I'm kind of like not stuck with it, but like I have learned to love it. So, tons of resources out there. It's pretty much you go through. It's like the boring process of the whole edit is getting all those clips cut down. You don't really know what you're working with because you're kind of looking at everything, from within the forest. But then you get to the next step where you have all these clips, and then I start to maybe color code the difference between them. In these shots, there was handheld shots. So like all the handheld I did orange, and orange, this other color, is clips they happen to have in slow motion. Red is they had a drone, it's like drone shots, and again, dark red is slow motion, and then they had all these like film cuts which I wasn't sure if I was gonna use, if it would fit in, but I had them just in case. And also I saved like these pink ones that were just what I considered long shots that maybe there'd be a spot where, you know, I want a really long shot to like flow or something, I could use them. I pretty much color code it so that way I can visually go back and find them. And this is where I start the edit. So I have my audio edit, and now I start thinking about clips that would go in like certain spots. So it was easy to find these two clips that were like the slow intro clips. So the first clip, and then this clip for the transition into the second drop. So like start there. And again, you just start putting clips down. And since you already have them cut to the beat, you can kind of experiment and just start putting them in, seeing like if it works, seeing if it doesn't work. You can always go back and, you know, fix spots that aren't working. And in my experience, it's always been beneficial to get the first edit done as fast as possible. Don't like worry about each shot. And then once you can watch it through, you can always change it and, you know, fix it. And then you end up getting full edit to the whole thing, again, with just random clips. I'd say my skill, or what I like the best, is just montage editing, because it has nothing to do with story. It just has to do with how the clips flow and make you feel to the music. And to me, it's easy, but also I've just done hundreds, if not thousands, of videos kind of like that. Okay, so that was the editing portion. And once we have that, what I would do is I would kick this out, just kind of lock it in. Like, I don't want to change any of the edit after this point in time, because I'm going to export the edit and now start doing the AI off of that. So I have it in a good enough spot. I export this full video, and now I have my edit. So now what I'll show you real quick, because we'll use this later on in the process, is I use After Effects a lot in just compositing and, you know, like finishing the video with color correction and adding like grain and other things like that. But it has great audio reactive tools that I use on pretty much, I would say 90 to 95% of my videos. And you can add audio reactive effects that give subtlety to that it's going to the music.
Hey, we actually got a question on Twitch. Yep. That sure. I don't know if you because it looks like you're on a PC, so I don't know if you have a lot of experience in it, but I definitely just want to answer this for this person real quick. He asked, sure. He said he's currently editing on Final Cut Pro X. What's your opinion of Final Cut Pro? I edited exclusively on Final Cut Pro for a solid 3 or 4 years. And once I hit the point of wanting to do more with my videos and realizing that everyone that was producing like the videos that I love seeing was using After Effects in some form, it just made sense to transition and maneuver from Final Cut into Adobe, which obviously hurts, because Final Cut's you pay for it one time and you're good for life, and you don't want to leave that structure, right? But in the professional industry, if you do anything professionally, I think you'll find that most teams and in team settings, people are using Adobe at this point.
Yeah. I knew a lot of people that were like diehard Final Cut, and I'll never be the person to talk anyone out of, you know, what program they use, because it should, at the end of the day, it should be whatever makes sense for you. Whether it's like a budget thing, do what makes sense for that budget. If it's a workflow thing, use whatever it makes sense to that, and you can make it work. It's like hard to chase, software chase, I guess, is what you could call it, where like the software is going to fix the problems, which there's a lot of stuff I do where I think I could only do it in Premiere and After Effects, and that's why I do it. And in a second, I mean, we'll see. One of the main reasons I love After Effects and Premiere is like technically I could use Premiere for all the After things, but what I like is I can import the sequence from Premiere into After Effects. So right now what we're looking at is that sequence right here. So this sequence is now imported into After Effects and is right here. In this project, I didn't need to re-edit anything, but say I worked on a normal edit and eventually I was like, oh, I need to fix this shot or something. It's not working. I could go back, swap the shots around, hit save, and then it'll automatically update here. I could change the music or something in Premiere, which I'd much rather edit audio in Premiere than
Definitely
having to deal with any sort of clip editing or audio editing in After Effects. So that's why I like it. It might, again, that might not be worth, needing Premiere, but for me, it's what I like. So pretty much what we have now is what we needed is the audio. And then how I kind of structured, I like After Effects because it compartmentalizes everything into pre-comp. So I have this one pre-comp that I call song. And in this case, I exported a WAV file of the audio because I knew I wasn't going to change it. But what I can do is I can take the audio and right click and do keyframe resistant, convert to audio keyframes. And what that will do is it'll create this layer and it'll give me these keyframes. And it's pretty much the amplitude of the music. What I do is I try to rescale them so everything is within 0 to 100. So it's kind of a little bit normalized. And now this value that it makes is a real value here that I can tie to any other setting in After Effects. It can control anything pretty much within Expression. And then the other plugin that I use all the time is Soundkeys. It's so old at this point. Like, I don't know if there's better options, but I've just used Soundkeys forever. So it's like what I use and never want to change. Because what happens is you select the audio and the audio will be going through and you can literally put a box around where you want. So I don't know what. Oh, there we go. Okay. Hopefully this isn't. Let me. For some reason, Adobe software, the volume is so loud. But pretty much, I play it, and you can just look. So the bass. So this square is where I see the bass coming in, and you can kind of see here. It'll show that value just to make sure it looks correct. And I pick like somewhere else that's like the mids or something else going on in the song I find interesting. And 3 I use for the highs. So like kind of when I see a clap come in. And then it's same thing. So then I hit apply and it'll make keyframes for all those. So this is the bass. Every time the bass hits, now I'm getting this value like 0 to 100. Every time the mids are going, I get these values. And then the highs. And then from there, so once I have this song, sometimes I can put it up here just to reference these. So this is the volume amplitude. This is the bass. This is the mids. And this is the highs. And so what I'm going to bring later into Comfy is I can set up these layers. So I create, it's going to hopefully not be too confusing, but I just make a red solid, like a red layer that's 100% red. And what I can do is I can go into the opacity and tie it to that output 1 value, the base. So when that value goes from 40 to 80, this opacity will go from 0 to 100. So it'll go from invisible to fully visible. And what that looks like. Okay. And then I just do the same thing for the green using the mids and blue use it for the highs. And then what's nice in Comfy is you can separate mass out into the red, green, and blue channels. So what I can do is I can combine these three into one video and it will read it just the same. Because I can take the red, green, blue, and if I add them together, it'll just, when they're both on the screen at the same time, it'll turn white. But again, this is hard to explain if you haven't used this, but like it'll read the red channel as the same 0 to 100, but it's just in one video now. So hopefully that makes a little sense. That's where we can start bringing this audio reactive mass from After Effects into Comfy, an AI program. Okay, but we'll get to that in a second. So really the first thing that, again, this whole project revolved around BiRefNet and trying to use it as an auto masker. So pretty much this is the setup if you ever just want to get a Luma mask from a video. All it is load video. It feeds into this BiRefNet node, and then you just have to download the model. I think it's really only these two, and I've only messed around with EP 480. But it's simple as that. Video, BiRefNet, the model, and then you get the image out, which technically if you're able to export with alpha, it'll have, just the subject cut out and no background. But in what I want is I just want a Luma mask, because then I can, go back again in After Effects. So this is a good example of compositing everything in the AI software, or taking some tools and then having more flexibility later. And what I'd rather have is the Luma mask, because then I can reverse it if I want the background instead of the foreground. And you just run this, and I'll save out the Luma mask just like this. It messes up a bunch, but again, if you lean into the jank, then it doesn't matter. Like I wouldn't be able to use this on like a commercial project where we're, fully rotoscoping someone, but for a real chaotic video, it works just fine. So hopefully that makes sense. And then that's where we're gonna build off of. So let's see. So right now in the process, we have the edit, full edit normally, and we have the Luma mask for the whole video. So now what we can do is we can go back into After Effects. We can take that Luma mask, and now we can apply this Luma mask. Here, one sec. Right now it's inverted. And just multiply it over that audio reactive mask. So what we'll get is just the subject in that audio reactive. So we export that, and then we can invert it, and now we have one doing the opposite. Which this alone is kind of interesting and pretty cool. Kind of like an old, was it iPod commercial? I don't know if that dates myself.
Isn't it crazy to think how like revolutionary that iPod commercial was at the time?
Yeah, I mean, great marketing. But so now we have those two. So now, pretty much, we have these rendered out, and these are the 4 videos that go into the workflow that I use. You probably don't need these audio reactive videos. It's kind of just something I was experimenting with to see how they would work. But here, I don't know. Tyler, do we have enough time to probably not build this from scratch just to go through this workflow.
Yeah, no, just give the walk us through it and show us what's going on here and what the workflow is about.
All right. So kind of this is not the final workflow, but it's to give an example of what's possible with the BiRefNet. And what's happening is I just have input integers for the width, height, the Controlnet resolution. I do a lot of experimenting. So in this video loader, I'm changing the frame load cap and the skip frames and the nth frame a lot. So what I like to do is I like to just set them here, and that way any video loader I load, I can just hook them all back up and just change them in one spot. And in general, like these settings are going to multiple places, and I just want to be able to change them in one spot. So we load a checkpoint. Probably my favorite model I've used so far is this one called RDU, I guess you would pronounce it. I'm not sure. But it gives like a great animated look, but not too cartoony, not too anime. And it just kind of styles up live footage without going too photoreal or anything. In this experiment, I was using LCM. So added the LCM LoRa. Let's see. So I added my own LoRa. Not my own, but like just for the video to just add a little bit more details. I'll be honest, I have no idea if it actually helps or not. But I just put it on.
Sometimes I think that add detail things are like sugar pills.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see. I hate prompting. I love to keep the prompt as basic as possible and just rely on things like IPAdapter and LoRa's. So it's pretty much just woman in a room, colorful texture, extremely detailed. Then just a bunch of negative prompts, try to keep it not, going nude or not suitable for work. So then here, let's go down here. So this is where the video comes in. So this could be a workflow, not with anything auto-reactive, just to have some fun with the BiRefNet and, kind of use it to mask the footage. So the video comes in, it gets scaled to the resolution that we set in our settings. It's going to run through the BiRefNet, and you're going to get this Luma mask. So this is what would output if you just outputted the images. But now we have this mask coming out. And then let's see, what I've used it for is I've inverted one also. So if it comes out of here, it's going to be the subject. And if it comes out of the invert, it's going to be the background. And I just have it go into two different IP adapters. I figured if I'm going to separate the foreground and the background, I could run both and use it to get two different foreground and backgrounds. And that way I kind of like double up the renders, so I'm not using the same IP adapter. And it's your normal IP adapter setup, just IP adapter model, clip model, going into tiled because I'm using a folder of images that all weren't square. And then this node is Spence's node, and kind of blew my mind because I hate, planning everything out perfectly. I love randomness. So what it does is it just references a folder on my computer that I have, maybe like 100 images in. And then it'll just take a random one. Like no planning, no nothing, just takes a random one for the foreground, the subject, and then one for the background. And I set up some basic control nets. It's just depth and line art. Pretty much in this, it's nothing creative. All it is like we're just looking to style transfer. Like it's really not creating anything new or, anything revolutionary. It's just styling it. And what will happen is here we'll run a generation while we're here sitting, but it'll run through. And what's going to happen is it's going to this workflow, what I had is generate the full video, subject and back. And then what I'm using is the BiRefNet to then composite different videos. So in this case, it is using the BiRefNet to composite in Comfy, and you can now use these videos, straight into your edit or your project. Both look interesting in their own way, and then you can also export the full video and the Luma mask separately. All right, hopefully that makes sense. And this is kind of contained with the BiRefNet, and you can generate as many as you want and run them. It'll be a different IP adapter each time. All right, so this is the full workflow that I used for my project. It's similar, but a lot is more complicated. Because instead of using BiRefNet in this, because I didn't want to generate the mask every single time it would generate. Like, you're gonna have to run it through BiRefNet. It's gonna have to calculate that every time. So I already have the Luma mask, so I wanted to use that and just load it up. Pretty much it's loading those 4 videos we made: the raw video, the Luma mask, and these 2. I guess we use them as IPAdapter masks. Same model, same LoRa. In this case, I'm not doing LCM because I like the details that it got without LCM. Same prompt, same control nets, same AnimateDiff, besides using my computer's gonna go slow. So the main thing different about this workflow, since we have the IPAdapter, let me try to stop this.
Comfy problems.
Yeah,
Comfy problems. So are these workflows that you built these yourself for like your specific use case, right?
Yeah, I would say it's interesting when we talk about workflows and like people share them. It's like I have no problem sharing it. I just think I built it like as I'm going, and it's like chaotic, and it's what I'm using for right now, so it makes sense. But if I did this project again, I would probably build it again from scratch, because just there'll be probably something different I want to do. So like in this case, it worked because I was using the video loaders. But what I ended up having to do is had to break up the video into 10 sections. And so this is going to sound crazy, but it was easier for me to have the video into 10 sections and run those through. So that way I could get different versions of the AI, but I would have to go through and like render the first clip, render the second. And then what that would cause is in here, I can't use the video loader. I would have to use video loader by path and use like incremental thing that would just send the videos one at a time. So it's like little things like that where it's going to change on you all the time. And even this IPAdapter thing I'll go through, it changes it a little bit. What is it worth going through all this trouble? Maybe not, probably not. But to me, it's like an experiment where I want to see, what would happen. But again, so what's happening? So this video that we made is coming through, and it's being separated from the image into like a mask by the red pixels, the green pixels, and the blue pixels. And then from there, those masks are going in as attention masks for different, yeah, my computer's going real slow, but different IP adapters. So technically this is the base IP adapter for the subject, the base IP adapter for the background, the mids IP adapter for the subject, mids background, highs subject, highs background. And this is IP adapter for the subject and background throughout the video, just so it's styled a little bit without the music kind of dictating it. Yeah, let me kind of close this. Always save. What I've noticed too is Comfy tries to encode the video, and it's like a bottleneck when that happens. So it kind of like freezes up your computer, but then if like you get rid of the programs that are causing it to mess up, then it gets there or
Oh yeah,
crashes.
yeah, bro. I would never have After Effects and Comfy open at the same time.
Yeah, we'll see how this goes.
The thing that I find really interesting about this across the board is that, like, for those of us that came from video editing, I don't know if you have any programming experience prior to like getting into AI and kind of having to figure out how to use these tools, but things like Comfy and just kind of like our desire to learn how to use these things that are not very straightforward because of what they could do for us visually kind of like introduced us to the world of what is it called? Like visual programming, right? Isn't that kind of what nodes are? It's like low level visual programming.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen people use, oh crap, I'm not even going to remember the name. But it's compositing software that is all nodes. And I was like, how the hell is that possible?
Oh, you mean
getting
Nuke?
Into Nuke, that's it, yeah.
Nuke,
And
yeah.
I was like, you need layers and pre-comps. Like, I don't know how it works. But then now that I'm saw Comfy and started working Comfy, like this type of workflow, I've never gone back to Automatic 1111 and just, or even Google Colab, because it's just nothing I want to work with anymore. Only because I have so much time, but like Comfy has blown my mind in what's possible. Like I could just try to figure out if I attach this node into this input, into the, like this output into this input, like what would happen? Like, is it going to read it? Like, is it going to work? And like, you can then just figure out anything you want. Like even this IPAdapter thing, I was like, oh, it can read a mask from red, green, and blue. Like, what if I just have like a video input and like, what will the attention mask work correctly, like frame by frame? And then plugged it in and it works. And again, it's like whether it's worth the hassle, it's debatable, but it's crazy that it could work. And now it's like I'm chaining 8 IP adapters, which again is probably dumb and overkill, but like it kind of works.
Oh man, but it goes back to kind of what Phil says is like, if you build out one part of your workflow once, then like even if it's not something you use immediately, then for the future when you will actually use that and it'll be more impactful, it's there for you to just copy and paste.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's what's nice, that you just like save all your old outputs or images, or you can save your workflow. What I got to get better at is, creating, you can save the workflows so you can load them. There's even custom nodes and things where you can just add tools. Like you can save something as a tool and you just click it and it will pop up in Comfy, which I think is like super amazing for just, like saving time and, working through the process. But anyways, okay, so what this whole thing would export is just one styled video that has the IP adapters applied to the subject and the back, baked into one. I didn't separate it at this process, so I knew I'd separate it later. We won't even bother running that. And so now what we do now is we have to go back into Premiere. We want to line it over the old edit, make sure everything is lining up correctly. I ran this overnight to get a couple different versions, so I can kind of select different ones if they're looking better, and then edit slightly between them to try to add a little bit more complexity. So we have the basic edit here, and we go into what I call the final edit, and now these red clips, pretty much everything over the top is from the AI. So we just have everything is run through the AI. See, if I had to explain what those auto-reactive IP adapters are doing, it's like doing stuff like this, where it's changing it slightly. Again, whether it's worth it, but like the bass hits, and that's probably like the bass IP adapter making it crazy, and then kind of like fades out into the normal one. It's nothing crazy, but it does add a little bit of complexity. And what I did is just edit between them. So like each shot is like a different run. So it's different IP adapters, just so it's not the same look every time. And then in the second half, I kind of want to make it more complicated and just have some fun with it. So what I did was I put an inverted version underneath and then just had it, you know, like pop up on the hits. And then just like add complexity to the edit, I guess you could say. And then so it was like little minor editing there, but then now we have the base edit to work with. Now the edit AI styled, and now we go into After Effects, and that's where all the finishing effects come in. This video probably is fine. Like if you just wanted to do this workflow, is just an edit, I'd say it's fine. It like works. A lot with my projects is I like pushing it way far, like over the limit until like where it's almost unrecognizable. And then we can always pull it back from there. But I like to just see, you know, how far we can push things. So pretty much, again, we draw the sequence straight from Premiere. It's in here. Let me just make sure. Yes. So now we have that same edit that we just looked at in Premiere. We have it in here. If we change it in Premiere, again, it's going to update here. What the first thing I did was go through and let's see. So I have this video sequence pre-comp. And what I did is I just went through and used the Luma mask that we had from before to cut out the background of this one. So now we have a subject video, and then we have the opposite. We have the background. And those are on alpha, so now I can put these anywhere in the process in After Effects, and it will just have the foreground or background. And so now in this pre-comp, I call just raw video for some reason. It's where we're doing that basic compositing of kind of some creative way to bring the foreground and background together. And an idea just I had doing this project, again, it was only because I was trying to think of like a fun way to, what would be a fun way to use foreground and background, is I have the regular edit down in the back. And then what I did was I brought in the background and the foreground. And what I thought would be interesting is if the opacity at first always starts at 70%. So it's not fully there. It's like kind of just slightly, or not slightly, but it's like a little see-through. And what I can use is, again, we made this song pre-comp that has, again, the bass, mids, highs, and audio amplitude. And what I can do is I can reference the audio amplitude, so like kind of the volume of the full song. And what's going to happen is there's this wiggle expression. The first value is just how many times it'll change every second. So I set that to 4. And then how far do you want it to change? And what I'm taking is that 0 to 100 value of the volume of the song and just multiplying it by 2. So like when the song has no volume, it's going to be 0. Song at full volume is 200. But what will happen is when the volume goes up, this opacity is just gonna like go wild. So like when the bass hits, it's either gonna be, you know, at full opacity or no opacity. And what that's gonna cause it to do is just like almost vibrate in and out of real or like the AI comps that we have. So if it makes sense, so like at a certain point, we'll have just the subject AI in the background is not. But if we play it through, so it already adds a little bit of, you know, auto reactivity. And what I like is it brings back the original footage. So you can see like her face and it goes in and out of the AI. It kind of makes it fun. Another thing too is you can time remap these clips. So what I did also was made this frame offset. And probably a lot of details we might not be able to get into. But when the bass hits, we get this value of it, like when the bass hits, it just gets like a value of 1 frame pretty much. And what I can do is the alpha or like the subject, when that hits, it can move ahead 1 frame and the background can move back 1 frame. So then we're kind of separating the foreground and background in time when the bass hit. So like you see, now we're like off. And it adds like this little distortion, but only when the bass hits. So like that in itself, again, is audio reactive. And then again, like a lot of the stuff comes with just experimenting or thinking what would be fun. It's like we cut out the subject. What would be cool is if somehow the subject is moving behind the subject, like it's vibrating or something. We have another version of it. So what I was able to do is, again, like duplicate just the subject. And then I added some like Twitch and Data Mosh, which are 2 plugins that kind of just give you like a glitched out look. And then let's see, when the bass hits here, so we'll get this other version that like vibrates out from the subject.
Awesome.
And like Twitch is making it fly, and then there's Data Mosh. And then I wanted one to the highs that kind of would just duplicate the person. And this just again slides with the beat. Like when the highs hit, then it causes, you know, the Twitch to start going like super, super wide. But then it could have like little twitches when it doesn't hit as hard. And then you just get. So again, this all starts with the AI has this auto masker where I can cut out the subject. And then I just start thinking of like what would be a fun way or fun effect now that we have them separated. And like that's kind of what I came up with. And then you start going down the path of like, you know, what's the next thing I could add? And what I add on a lot of my projects is a flicker that's tied to the music. So that way, when the volume is low, just adds like a little bit of a black flicker to kind of make it feel like the volume's low. And then when the volume comes up, it goes away. But we start to get more and more trippy. And then in the same effect, I have this strobe effect that goes when the volume's high. So when volume's super high, or like I think in this case when the bass hits, it adds a strobe glow. And what it'll do is like it makes it way brighter. So like off and then on, and it'll literally go on and off every frame to add like an extra kick when and when the bass hits. Let's see. I mean, it go for a while. Let me know if this is getting boring. But another one is, I think this is like a super simple, but it goes back to what we learned about the mass, where we can take our video and then separate all the channels out. Oops, wrong one. So we have our video here, and we can separate this so it's just blue, and then we get just green and just red. And then again, if we add mode them together, it's just the regular video. And you can use a simple curves adjustment with the RGB to like get your channels. But then, so now that we have them all separated, what we can do is when, let's see, the bass hits, I have a frame offset, slider. So again, if you look at this, this is just that base value. When it's 50 to 100, it'll offset by 1 frame. So when we see it, like the bass is hitting, and all it's doing is separating out those channels, and blue's 1 frame back, red's 1 frame forward, and green is real time. And it gives you kind of that separation effect. Let's see. And then how I structure these is just when I'm thinking of a project, I think of, oh, that'd be cool to do, then pre-comp it, and then go on to like the next pre-comp of like what would be cool for it to add there. Like here's another one that just adds like a different layer over the top when the bass hits, and it has like a pretty crazy twitch, so it's gonna look pretty wild. And this is when the computer starts to slow down because there's a million effects and everything. Let's see. We go down. I have like this like thing I made maybe like 10 years ago that I keep using these old projects, and there's a plugin called Plexus that would make these I don't know if it'll play in real time, but
love me some Plexus.
Just random. You know about Plexus? Okay, nice.
Dude, so yeah, Plexus Plexus is what Plexus is what I wanted. Like I wanted to take dance footage and put the geometrical shapes and tie the geometrical shapes to the dancers' individual body parts. And when I figured out that like, okay, Plexus does this, learning Plexus is what introduced me to After Effects. Like I learned After Effects just to learn how to use Plexus, and then had to go back and learn all the foundational After Effects stuff after, because I was like, this is really hard. I need to figure out exactly what I'm doing. But Plexus is what actually started me down the road of everything I'm doing right now.
Oh, that's how I got into it. Plexus was maybe one of the first things I made in After Effects. Like I only opened After Effects for its audio like visualization techniques, and I would make all these visualizers back in the day. And so this is like an old thing I made. So it'll go to the beat, or it'll show up to the beat, and now I have it just like in the background subtly. I probably should just take it out, but it like makes it fun because it adds these random geometric shapes throughout the video, but it's like super subtle, almost so you can't see it. But in theory, it is making the video brighter and more interesting at times like when the music is hitting. Well, again, whether it's necessary, probably not. But it's like so yeah, what got me into After Effects? I'll hold on to it. Let's see. And then one of the last pre-comps is just like really the top level effects, just adding, just random stuff over the top. So like when when the bass hits, it'll add just like a little bit of a warp. There's like a Prism displacement plugin. So like the lines get curve. Again, is all this necessary? Probably not. Then when the highs hit, there's like a edge glow that happens. And then kind of the final ones is I have this, and again, this might not be necessary. I kind of just like it. Like when the volume's really low, it adds a VHS filter. So kind of like when the video starts and the video ends, it like has a VHS filter. Like my idea is that it just gives some sort of feeling of the volume being low, that it is like this grainy, distorted video. And then when the song comes in, then it's clear again. And it's like sharp. And to the same effect, like when the volume goes super high, I just have a TV filter that almost makes it seem like the video is distorting because the volume, is too high. So again, like just random things. I guess when I think of these audio-reactive filters, I think of like what would that feeling be that I want when that part of the song happens. And so like here, when the bass hits super hard, the video is like messed up. It just distorts it out of comprehension. And then it's the last comp, and kind of what I add here is just clean up things. I add this thing called Finisher, just adds contrast and detail. I add a slight glow, which it just softens up just soften things up, adds like diffusion, which I like. Add vignette. For this one, I went with 4:3. Again, for no reason except for I just thought it framed the video better. I'm not good at social media. Tyler, if you've seen, like, I never do vertical, and it's not because I am like a stickler over vertical versus horizontal. I think it's just like whatever is best for the video. I'll do square, I'll do vertical, I'll do horizontal. This, I wanted a good balance between background and foreground. So like 4:3 just seemed to give a good, balance of both. And then just add grain over the top. What I use this plugin. It's paid, but I'd suggest it to anyone, especially with AI work. You don't need grain, but adding some sort of grain over the AI outputs to me helps a lot. It just blends in just a lot of the edges and kind of, I don't know, cleans it up in my opinion.
Oh, I agree. I use the competitor to that called Dehancer.
Okay, nice. Yeah, I don't even know why I went with this one. I just saw it and used it since. Trying to think. And then, then you've put so many effects on this that you have to render it overnight. So you just set it up and see it in the morning.
Dude.
And then, and then you get, so then through all that work, and you get this.
I hope this, I know that all of our attention spans have been just like sapped dry by the nature of social media and video right now, but I hope that like kind of going through and seeing the entire process of what goes into a video that looks like this, that you guys can definitely like appreciate these things a little bit more when you see them, because it's a lot of work for something that'll probably be seen for maybe 48 hours. And if we're lucky. But so like, okay, so a question in the Discord chat. A project like this, typically beginning to end, AI included, like start to finish, what's your expected time expenditure on that?
I'm trying to see if I have anything that gives away when I started. So I think it was the 8th is when I started putting this together. So it's when I had like the first edit done. Let's see. So like within a week, you can turn it around. It's like really tough when you're talking about time limits because, again, like what you're saying, where like, yeah, this video, I spent all this time on it, and like who knows, it'll be on Instagram for a day and then no one will really care. But I think that's why I'm not a big social media person in general, because I don't have enough time to like keep up with posting. But something like this, I learned so much about the process that now I can take like the skills I learned about BiRefNet and even that workflow of thinking about the foreground and background, like pulsing out to the music. I've never done that before. And now I have that in my tool bucket for future projects and maybe commercial projects, that you get paid for. So I guess how I've attacked things in AI and things like this is like I don't have enough time to pump out videos, but if there's something that I want to learn, then I for sure enjoy spending that time to like learn and make something. And I'd rather make something I think this length and this complex, and then I don't know, feel better about it at the end than I don't know how to describe it. I don't want to say anyone's way is better because again, everyone has a different path. But just how I view it, I love making complex stuff like this.
And look, let's be honest. Unless you genuinely enjoy the process of doing this stuff, then you're probably only going to hit a certain skill ceiling. Like to take this stuff really further, you have to enjoy it, because there are definitely times and hours where you just want to yeet your computer out the window because you're trying to get it to do a thing, and the thing might like seem simple in your mind, and for some reason you just can't get it to work.
Yeah. And I think, I guess that brings up the other thing too, is like between passion projects and client work. I would say passion projects, it's like make whatever you want to make, that you want to learn, that you're going to have fun with. And it's building a toolbox to use for those future projects where you kind of have to work within their creative and like what they want. But now you have these skills that you learned from your passion projects. So, because like when you're working with a client, it's not going to be as smooth as this. Like this, I could break it and, oh, whatever, that's not working. Like I'll just do something else. But when a client has this idea, it's kind of like much harder because you have to make it work somehow, kind of, if that makes sense. Like this project, if the BiRefNet didn't work and it sucked, I would have thought of a different idea and just moved on.
Yeah, man. So, that's why I also think that on personal projects, kind of giving yourself some confines every now and then to force yourself to like be creative within boundaries you set for yourself is also a really good practice for people that are constantly creating. Because with these tools, especially, like having the ability to create some variation of anything you can think of is sometimes even just coming up with the idea in that sea of possibility can be daunting. And so even putting some self-imposed confines on yourself is good practice for when you do come across a client project that's like, oh, it has to be this way. How do I make it work?
Yeah. And if any other advice, with client work, it's like everyone's path's different. My path has been extremely lucky to be able to get jobs and work with people that I like and enjoy and that trust a lot of my vision. You'll get projects with people that you're just, someone to make their video, and that kind of stinks. But if you find the right people to work with and get repeat business and get people that trust and want your style, then I think you'll be happy in the end. But it's never as easy as it sounds.
Never as easy as it sounds, but man, getting there is definitely rewarding. Yeah. Chat, do we have any last minute questions for Frisson while he is still here with us before we wrap stuff up for the day. Man, thank you so much. That was like that. I'm sure for some people that was a lot. Luckily, it'll be posted on YouTube, so you can go back and pull the tidbits of inspiration from it. But that was like, again, every Friday, I feel like you guys are giving a masterclass. What the chat is asking for, though, is if you can throw out like a tool list for me of just like the editing tools you use and maybe some of your favorite plugins for Premiere, and just get those to me, and I'll go ahead and put them in the description when I post the video on YouTube on Monday.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, don't mind even sharing the workflow, like the final workflow from Comfy, but it's like I can't be technical support though. That's like, it's like a confusing, broken workflow. So if you want to just see it and figure it out, perfect. But like I don't think I could launch it as like, you know, an official workflow that I can stand behind. But I don't mind sharing, you know, anything.
Bro, go ahead. But as long as you guys understand that, go ahead and throw that on Civitai, and I'll include that link with the YouTube description as well, just so they can like go in, kind of pick apart and see what you did. And the great thing about this stuff is, you know, you made the workflow that you needed for the moment right then and there, but someone else might see it and then just completely like iterate a fully fleshed out version of it and then reshare it with everyone, you know?
Yeah.
That's the great thing about all of this and what we do. So,
yeah.
Are you participating in our Project Odyssey competition, or are you going to sit that one out?
Oh yeah, no, I can't pass up a competition.
Boom. There you go, guys.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know what I'll make. I like the idea of the music video, but let's see. But that
dope.
Do official details, I guess we can talk about it a little bit now, because do official details on that come out, or is it just as free form as it's been laid out?
Official details come out on the 17th.
Perfect.
Yes. So everyone, make sure you guys stay tuned to our social channels, and make sure you check the projectodyssey.ai website on the 17th. I am working on a short tutorial for you guys on maybe like the best way to use civitai.com specifically for the contest. So, yeah, man.
Yeah.
Frisson.
Yeah. I'll say one last thing that I thought of just to say, because yeah, if anyone's like working on this stuff and they see all these creators come on, it's like everyone is good in their own way. And like, I'm blown away by like the other creators that have come on here, and I think everyone is amazing in their own right, and everyone's on a different path. But there was this one Alan Watts video, because I went to college for actuarial science. I had sales jobs I hated. I sold insurance, pavers, anything you'd think of insurance. It's like was horrible, and I hated it. And then just found something that I was passionate about, and just worked as hard as I could to make it a reality, and feel super lucky that it is possible for me. It's not possible for everyone. But yeah, there's an Alan Watts video called something like, what would you do if like money was no issue or something? I probably listened to it like 100 times. And it was just like, in life, finding that thing that you're passionate about, and whether you get paid for it or not, it's like super valuable to find that. And should be like filling your time up with whatever you'd want to do if you weren't getting paid for it. And I'm just super lucky that I have found a way to get paid for it. But I hope the best for everyone. And if anyone wants to reach out to me directly, like feel free. Like people have helped me. I'm just standing on other people's shoulders, and I'd love to give back however.
Dude. Awesome, man. Frisson, you are a legend, and I am going to make it my mission to make sure more people know who you are in the space, and hopefully today can be the start of that. Even though I know people know you, I want more people to know you, because your skills definitely deserve it, and you're always willing to help out, which is something that has been a very, very common thread throughout everyone I've brought on this stream, which is an uncommon thread in a lot of other creator communities. And I'm going to always say that because I think it's always true. And I think it's something really special about this open source, wacky AI niche that we have somehow found ourselves just absolutely obsessed with.
Yeah,
dude,
for sure.
You're an absolute legend. I can't thank you enough for coming on and going through that. That felt like an absolute masterclass to me. I really hope that you guys got good stuff out of that, because there was a lot of good stuff in there. And just a reminder, I think it was who was it? Pers. Pers always says this. Pers always says fail fast and fail often. That is what Pers always says. And I think that's a perfect way to kind of leave this off, because the quicker and faster you can fail, and the more times you can fail, the quicker and faster you can get to the part where you get the thing that you're after. But if you're not willing to like go through all those iterations of getting the stuff you don't like, and you're afraid to dip your toe in the waters you're uncomfortable with, then the results don't get better by themselves. And it takes a lot of failing to get to the thing that you're watching, and you're just like, oh my God, I just want to play this over and over and over and over because I love it so much, because I know how hard it was to get that. And I can tell that is the deal with your work, because there's a lot of moving parts there, man.
Yeah, I totally agree with that too. For there was a while, like when I was starting out, that it was much more quantity over quality. And I would just try to make as many videos as possible. There was a year that I even set a goal. I made a video every day for the year, pretty much. Probably took me like 53 weeks to get all 365. But it was like an amazing experience to get better at, the craft, because I wasn't making good videos, but I was able to make them fast. And it was that skill of like learning the software in and out, I think, is invaluable. So yeah, only make thousands of videos.
Right on, man. Well, hey, Frisson, thank you so much, buddy. We're definitely going to circle back and have you on again at some point, because I know you definitely have a lot more to share, and that was just a taste. So we can't thank you enough. Guys, this video is going to be uploaded to YouTube first thing Monday morning per usual. Let me see real quick what we got going on next week for you guys. So next week, we have our on the 20th. Okay, next week on the 20th, we have a legend in his own right coming up, which is Willis Visual. And Willis is not going to be doing a tutorial or showing any how-to. We're going to just be talking about his experience on social media, because Willis is a full-time dentist, and he made some of the craziest warp fusion videos that I had ever seen during that era. And he still innovates with AnimateDiff. So we have Willis on Thursday, and then on Friday, we have another guest creator session with Make It Rad. If you guys do not know who Make It Rad is, go check him out on Twitter. He is incredible, and he does a lot of these like cool moving architectural AnimateDiffs. So I'm really excited for that. Frisson, dude, thank you so much. It was a pleasure. Guys,
sure.
Give it up in the chat one more time for Frisson. He dropped so many bombs on us today. Everyone, we will be back on Monday with our usual office hours. And guys, Twitter Spaces, Tuesdays, 3 p.m. Pacific, same time. Come hang out with us on Twitter. Come on the stage and let's just chat about everything that's going on in AI. This week, we're going to have a lot to chat about with SD3 and Dream Machine and all the other stuff that is happening. So come hang out with us on Twitter Spaces on Tuesday with myself and Maddie. Twitch, happy Friday, Civitai.com. I hope you guys have a great weekend. We appreciate you all. We are out. Peace. And boom, Twitch is off.